See if you can spot what separates these two teams. If you said their amount of games played, you'd be right. In fact, this is actually the sole reason that Chico and Blue missed qualification, dying off spawn in 2 out of their 10 games. If this sounds like you, don't worry, because in this video I'm going to be revealing 5 of the easiest ways for you to survive off spawn in Chapter 5. Let's get into it. Number 1. Create a loot route. If you can't decide which building to land at or what chest to open first, a loot route is without a doubt something you need to spend some time on. They essentially work as a set path to follow while looting your drop spot. A loot route eliminates any random scrambling and rather creates an efficient way for you to run the process. By looting faster, you give yourself an upper hand on the opponent. You're likely to have more HP, better guns, and a higher material count. To create a loot route, you first need to figure out a path at your drop spot that is quick, efficient, and easy to follow. This path should have given you an inventory that you feel comfortable fighting with. Once you have this path figured out, go to Fortnite.gg and find your drop spot. On the right hand side, you will see a table that includes an option for you to draw a path. Use this tool to illustrate your loot route, and remember to keep practicing it until it becomes second nature to you. Number 2. Get a drop map. By far the most important factor when surviving off spawn is making sure you're the first one to land. To do this, you have to be deploying your glider at the perfect elevation and distance from your drop spot. A drop map helps you figure out that perfect spot to deploy. Unfortunately, good drop maps aren't free. So for this step, we're going to have to invest in ourselves a little bit. If you want to purchase a drop map that is literally pixel perfect, I highly recommend using dropmap.net. Now this isn't sponsored, but I've just personally had good experiences with them. Their drop maps are mathematically generated and therefore have no human error. Drop map is going to run you about $9.99, but trust me, it's worth 10 times more than that. Once you're on their website, click start dropping and select your drop spot. From there, purchase the map and you're good to go. I'm going to quickly explain how to use a drop map, but if you already got it down, you can skip to the timestamp on the screen. Alright, so this is my drop map. How it works is these little spots on the outskirts of my POI is where you want to force your glider to deploy. So where you want to be low enough to the ground where your glider is forced itself to deploy. If you want to land at the back here, which is marked in blue, you want to mash that up and deploy your glider, force it to deploy at one of these blue marks on the map. Same thing with the red. If you want to land this balcony, you want to force it to deploy at one of these red spots. And with the green, for me, there's that one spot. For you guys, it'll be different, but that's where you want to force your glider to deploy. By doing this, you guys will 100% get the lowest drop out of anybody contesting you. Number 3, know your surroundings. During the early game, players are less likely to have a good amount of materials. Because of this, build fights are uncommon. Most exchanges are often going to be fought more like you're playing no builds. For this reason, it's always a good idea to know your drop spot like the back of your hand. Have a good understanding of how you can use certain areas at your drop spot to better your chances in a fight. For example, if there are slurp or slap barrels, know where they are and how to get to them quickly to increase your HP. Another thing to know at your drop spot is where you can farm materials fast. Make sure that these materials you're farming give you a good amount of builds. For example, these rocks on my drop spot give me over 100 brick each time, and every single one is quick to farm. These little things your opponents don't know about will increase your chances at making an off drop. Number 4, take high ground. Kinda going back to tip number 3, remember that fights are often fought like zero build. You play around buildings, trees, and rocks to try to win a fight. In any mode, being higher up than the opponent gives you a better angle on them. They will have a rough time trying to get a shot off on you while you sit on high ground. Being on height lets you control the fight. The opponent is forced to play off of your decisions, and by knowing this, you can limit their options. Try to run down their materials and push them in a position where they're forced to make a bad play. Now that you know this, try to prevent your opponent from doing this to you. By getting up early, your opponent now has to play the inferior position. Number 5, play like a rat. I know this sounds bad, but if you play like a rat, any player contesting you will have a hard time fighting you. By playing like a rat, I mean playing weird. And by playing weird, I mean crouch walking, sitting behind doors, and just being unpredictable. While playing unpredictable, you may be able to catch a player off guard. Catching a player off guard may give you that easy fry or pump that could ultimately result in an elimination. Speaking from my personal experience, when people rat on me, I find it incredibly difficult to fight them. Not only that, it gets people frustrated. When someone is frustrated, it's been scientifically proven that they will perform worse. Anger or frustration could lead to them making a bad play, and you can take advantage of that. If you implement everything I've just said into your own game, you'll undoubtedly see substantial improvement in your off-spawn survival percentage. Now, you guys can all become great off-spawn players. Before you leave, I have one last thing I need to say. One of the simplest yet most crucial things when trying to go pro is making sure that you surround yourself with good players. Not only that, players who are just as motivated as you are. Join my competitive friend group with a Discord invite link at the top of the description. It's a great community where everyone is trying to go pro. Once you're in, make sure to message Izzrr sent me in general chat, and I'll be sure to reply. Now that's out of the way, I just wanted to say, I hope you learned something from watching my video. If you did, please consider leaving a like or dropping a sub. With all that being said, thanks for watching.